A betrayal in Silicon Valley. Why high pay can create a traitor. Traitors never go far. A Stanford Ph.D. cashed out $7 million and defected with core code, only to become one of the most foolish defendants in Silicon Valley history. It sounds unbelievable, but a top Chinese engineer who sat next to Elon Musk during the Grok 4 launch chose to be a tech thief instead of staying on a clear path to success. Now he faces a massive lawsuit and has put his reputation on the line. To put it simply, an AI codebase is like a restaurant's secret recipe. Musk's XAI spent 2 years perfecting Grok. Xuechen didn't just steal the code, he took the secret sauce that came from countless late nights of debugging, including the real-time search algorithm and the multi-tool calling logic. These are what gave Grok the confidence to challenge ChatGPT. Without these core technologies, even the best chef couldn't recreate that taste. What's even more disruptive is the frenzy in the AI talent market. Meta offered a 24-year-old researcher a 4-year, $250 million contract with a $100 million signing bonus, more than Messi's annual salary. Capital is treating talent like star athletes, but no one seems to be asking, when technology has a clear price tag, how low will people's ethical standards fall? Let's discuss how this wild talent war created a tech traitor, and how one person's foolishness could destroy opportunities for an entire group. Tech heist in a capital-fueled feeding frenzy. Meta's HR department might be busier than the FBI. This year alone, they've poached 45 researchers from OpenAI, giving 24-year-old Matt Dyke a staggering 4-year, $250 million contract, with $100 million in cash in the first year. Google is even more ruthless. To close the gap between Gemini and GPT, they brought in Meta veteran Bill Jia as their AI enforcer. He started by firing 10 underperforming directors and then spent a year recruiting over a dozen L9-level tech experts. These tech giants are playing a real-life football manager, but the players are engineers with algorithms, and the transfer fees are so massive they make your head spin. But Xuechen clearly played the game wrong. He secretly sold his $7 million in XAI stock in June, then in July, he copied the core code, deleting logs and compressing files, thinking he could get away with it. This kind of behavior just won't work in Silicon Valley. While Meta throws money at talent, it has a clear rule. Don't bring data from your old employer. Zuckerberg knows where the red line is. Xuechen, however, wanted both the high salary from a new company and to bring a gift with him, turning a business game into a crime scene. That's not smart. It's a bubble of pure stupidity. When the annual salary for top AI talent in Silicon Valley exceeds $40 million, surpassing even top-tier NBA players, this battle for elite talent has long strayed from the path of innovation. Capital has turned tech professionals into tradable financial assets, using stock options to create talent leverage. This ignores the fact that disruptive innovation is an ecosystem built on long-term trust and collaboration. While giants like Meta and Google have conducted headhunting blitzes, they have at least followed the industry's unspoken rule of taking the talent, not the code. This unspoken rule is both a respect for intellectual property and a social contract that maintains the industry's trust. In contrast, Xuechen's team defection with the core codebase has sent a shockwave through the industry's trust system. This arm transfer that crossed ethical boundaries may have given his new company a short-term technical edge, but it has triggered a chain reaction of trust crises. Tech companies are now tightening non-compete agreements to their legal limits, restricting the mobility of tech professionals. The open-source community is beginning to question code sharing, with many engineers choosing to keep innovations behind corporate firewalls. As the cost of trust rises exponentially, all tech professionals will be bound by stricter non-compete clauses, creating a vicious cycle that systematically stifles innovation. The Traitors' epitaph. The verdict in the recent Huawei Zhenpai case is a strong warning. 14 people were sentenced for stealing chip technology, with the main perpetrator receiving a prison sentence and a total fine of $13.5 million. The most damning evidence was the 90% technical overlap. 40 core technical points were almost entirely copied from Huawei. These individuals worked for Huawei by day and worked overtime, at the new company by night, using the same tactics as Li Xuechen. The irony is that Sunpai claimed to do in 6 months what took Huawei 10 years, but their shortcut became a direct path to prison. Silicon Valley's legal red lines are even clearer. In Musk's lawsuit against Li Xuechen, the detail about deleting operation logs alone is damning. It's like erasing your name from homework you copied. The teacher will see right through it. In contrast, when OpenAI researcher Tropit Bunsel was recruited by Meta, he left openly with his research ideas to continue working on inference models. That is the kind of talent mobility that Silicon Valley respects. While OpenAI was furious, they could only try to retain him with a counteroffer, not sue him. That's the difference between playing by the rules and committing a foul. The butterfly effect of collective trust. Data from Japan's Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare is telling. Among foreigners working in Japan, there are 520,000 Vietnamese and 400,000 Chinese, but just over 20,000 Indians. Yet, Japan has suddenly announced a goal to recruit 500,000 Indians in the next 5 years, seemingly ignoring the 120,000 Chinese students already there. This isn't discrimination, it's about the cost of trust. Just as a company skips a resume with a non-compete dispute, a country worries about technology security risks when recruiting talent. The rise of Indian-American CEOs like Sundar Pichai in Silicon Valley is not due to a single genius but the cumulative professional reputation built by the community over many years. The Chinese engineer community in Silicon Valley is likely very concerned. There are many Chinese faces in Meta's AI department, with executives like Bill Jia serving as role models. But Li Xuechen's actions have essentially labeled all Chinese tech professionals as a potential risk. Just as many companies became wary of en masse defections after the Huawei Sunpai case, Silicon Valley HR departments might now put a question mark next to a resume from a former ex-AI employee. This erosion of trust is more devastating than a fine and will take generations to repair. An individual's short-sightedness is undermining the long-term interests of a group. Japan would rather spend the effort to train 500,000 Indians than use the Chinese students already there, fearing the after effects of a tech dispute. Chinese engineers in Silicon Valley, who have worked hard to break the glass ceiling, may now have their loyalty questioned because of this case. The Indian-American community's rise in the tech world was built on the tradition of paving the way for fellow countrymen, not on the calculation of betraying one's employer for money. One person's selfish move often requires countless others to pay for it with double the effort. This code defection case has exposed the truth about the AI industry. When capital inflates the price of talent and technology becomes a commodity to be stolen, we will only move further away from true innovation. Li Xuechen's fate is not yet sealed, but history has already written the answer. The 14 criminals in the Sunpai case and countless commercial secret lawsuits in Silicon Valley prove one thing: traitors never go far. Do you think the tech industry should compete for talent with high salaries or protect innovation with clear rules?